Hey, happy Monday. I got a really great question from Kay a few months ago, and I wanted to make sure that I answered the question. The question is, how do I put together an out-of-state retreat? And the questions that she asked include what goes into planning an out-of-state retreat, what should be included in the contract that my clients sign, etc. And so I wanted to touch on the fact that, number one, putting together an out-of-state retreat is no different than putting together a retreat in your own hometown, except for tax. Sometimes taxes vary from state to state, but that's really the only thing that's going to change is tax, and then potentially your insurance. If you are hosting an event or a workshop that it's like a yoga retreat or some sort of like athletic retreat and you have business insurance, it may change, and so I can't really advise on that. You just need to contact your insurer and look at your policy and see kind of what it looks like, not only A, to cover you for event insurance to host an event, and B, what it looks like covering you not only within your own state but also out of state. But what I did want to say, and why this is a really good question, is that oftentimes people want to host a retreat in a different state or a different location, but they don't have the resources and they don't know how to go about finding a venue. They don't know how to go about finding good caterers. They don't know how to go about finding good people who are going to support them because they don't know any of the people in the place that they're trying to do their event. And the one piece of advice that I can give around planning a retreat, a quote unquote destination retreat or destination workshop or destination conference, is to do a ton of research before you get there. I mean, I often, depending on how big the event is, I often advise my clients to spend at least a month or two putting together a really solid budget, putting together a really solid research plan, and getting to know some vendors maybe in the area, because you're going to spend a lot of money if you don't prepare, and you're going to save a lot of money if you do more research. And so, Kay, if you're looking at an out-of-state retreat, I would say spend a couple weeks to a month Googling, finding venues, getting recommendations, seeing if there are any lists, any listicles kind of about that special place where you want to host your event, and seeing if you can find a couple different vendors. Look on, a lot of times, even though I don't plan a ton of weddings, a lot of times I will look at wedding blogs because those are some really, really great places to find vendors, good vendors, caterers, and sound systems. And I will say that there aren't a lot of other good places where you can compile kind of like all the good vendors and all the good people to work with. And so even though you're not planning a wedding, it might be worth looking at some wedding blogs or some wedding directories in the area. And then the other thing is, use your best judgment. This is a situation, planning an out-of-state retreat is a situation where you would really, really want to have an event planner potentially, because they can help guide you, whether it's on an hourly basis, or if it's, they're planning the whole thing. But what I will say is planning a destination retreat can be a little bit tricky if you let it. So give yourself enough time, enough leeway, enough lead time to do the research and get a really solid idea of not only pricing but also good vendors so that you can have a successful event. Thanks so much. If you have any questions for me, or if you are, I didn't answer something that you were really, really wondering, go ahead and pop that question below in the comments, and I'll see you next week.